Oh boy, the GFX100 is out now. You no longer have to wait weeks to get it. Considered as one of the best camera released last year. Who is it for? Is it time for you to go medium format? Let's go. I've talked about sensor size in a previous video, the one about the GFX50S. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out right now. The link is in the description box below. 43.8 by 32.9 millimeters, 1.7 times the area of a full frame sensor. Still a little smaller than Hasselblad's and Phase 1's higher end cameras. It has the 4th generation X processor. You can really feel that it's a little snappier and faster than the GFX50S. The camera body is a little bit like the 1DX, a brick coming straight out of the 80s. On this camera, they ditched the physical dial buttons that were on top. We have now 3 screens, one on top, one in the rear, a 3.2 touchscreen, and a thinner screen underneath it. So now you can have a clean rear screen with only your image on it and still have your settings on the other screen that's underneath it. If you're looking for a small, lightweight camera, this camera is not for you. They made some major improvements from the GFX50S. I said it earlier, this camera is really faster. At last, we have phase detect and contrast autofocus. In burst mode, we can go up to 5 FPS and we have a brand new EVF. I don't want to go too in-depth in the specs here. I don't want to go pixel peeping either. The best way to judge a camera is to actually use it. I must thank Fujifilm friends for letting me borrow this camera. I wish I had it a little bit longer and on more ambitious projects, but still, I kind of had enough time to see the potential of this camera. Shooting in difficult lighting situations lets you evaluate the performance of the autofocus. Paired with my brown color lights, during these 3 days in Paris, I used the GFX100 as my main working camera. Further test the low light capabilities of this camera, I decided to make a session at night. I only used street lamps to light my subject.
Merci.
I really love the images made that night. You notice visible noise at 800 ISO and up. It's not distracting, and it even feels organic.
Yes. Merci.
have probably seen these images from my previous video, shooting with the GFX100 on a rainy day with only the available light. And I can confirm that this camera is weather sealed. Here are a few images made during a boudoir portrait session in a tiny apartment using only the light coming from the biggest window in the room. There are a few things that I like about this camera. I will talk about the look, but the buttons, I really don't like the buttons, especially the joystick. It's too small. It can be in the long run, really painful to select one of the focus points, one of the 425 focus points with this tiny joystick. The vertical grip could have been better. It doesn't feel right in the hand, and it's a bit slippery, so I ended up not using it that much. This beast gives you 14 or 16-bit raw images. I love the colors, the dynamic range, and how flexible the images are. The shadow recovery on these files it's impressive. And let's not forget that this camera offers great video features: 4K DCI, 30, 25, 24 images per second, 420, all internal, I think, and a vlog, of course. During my stay in Paris, I visited my friend Marceau, a French dancer and choreographer who was rehearsing with his company at the Chaillot Theater. I decided to film a few random clips to test the low light capabilities of this camera in video mode. The audio on these samples were recorded with the camera's internal mic. And here are a few images, ungraded in F-Log. Of course, this is 4K rendered in 1080p. This doesn't do justice to the camera, I know. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to film more and to film outdoors.
You can find the back bend.
I really hope I will have other opportunities in the future to film with the GFX 100.
Nice. One,
Tu le verras après. And what about the price? Around 10K, 11,000 euros here in Europe, in France, I think. It's cheap compared to other medium format cameras, but still, it's still a lot of money for a lot of us. This camera clearly is not for everybody. It's aimed at a specific market, unless you are filthy rich. Will the GFX 100 get you more clients? I don't know. I can't answer that question because I haven't had it in my hands that much. I mean, I've been working with the GFX 50S for roughly 8 months now, and I only had the GFX 100 on a couple of shoots. Do you need 102 megapixels? Yeah, that's a lot. Well, yes and no. You see, I'm old school. I try to get everything in camera on set, on location. Everything that I include in my frame is there for a reason. You may not like it, but it was my choice at that specific moment. I see a lot of photographers on YouTube, taking their shots like they don't care, framing, composing loosely their shots. We have now powerful tools that have eye autofocus, animal eye autofocus, and with the camera that has 30 plus megapixels, we can always crop and recompose our shots later. It's a choice and it's definitely not mine. This is where you draw the line between photographers that want to build, construct, make a carefully crafted image that will convey a message, tell a story, or just to make a impactful, visually pleasing image, and other photographers that just don't care. The ones that just want to please their Instagram audience and follow the trends. But this happened to me a few times last year. I had clients that needed images that could be used in various forms. Before, I used to do a lot of wide, a lot of medium, a lot of tight shots of the same scene to give my clients a wide variety of shots. They want to be able to use their images on different platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, on their blog and websites, any kind of print work, magazines, or even large campaigns. So the advantage of having 102 megapixels is the option to take any pictures, any images that you have made and crop it any way you want and still keep all the details. All of them, but most of them. So let's wrap it up. Is it worth the upgrade from the GFX 50S? In my opinion, yeah. If you are a working pro landscape photographer, architecture, fashion, commercial photographer, or even fine art, yes. If you are not making any money out of photography, you can definitely live without it. If action photography, sports photography is your bread and butter, this camera, I'm afraid, is not for you. Despite all the improvements, this camera is still not up to speed for certain tasks. Photographing a fast-moving subject, for example, will still be difficult with this camera. Would I invest in this camera? I don't know. Now might not be the time for me. If you have been following me for some time, you probably have noticed that I've been working with the GFX 50S lately, the past 8 months. And you probably also noticed that I've been making less and less action shots these days. The GFX 100 would be perfect for maybe less than 10% of my work. Like I said before, now is maybe not the time for me to invest and put that much money into a camera. For now, I prefer renting it whenever this camera is available, because yes, Fujifilm, you gotta make some effort there. It is really hard to rent that camera, at least here in France. But who knows, maybe in a couple months, I will do more advertising and commercial work, so we'll see. The GF line is still young, it's very promising to say the least, and to be completely honest with you guys, I'm kind of waiting for the GFX50S Mark II. With all the improvements that they made with the GFX100, Fujifilm has a potential super hit camera that might come out in the near future. More about this camera in the blog post. You will also see there all the images that were in this video in HD. If you have made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I guess I will see all of you guys in the next one, but until then, please have a good one.